Have you ever caught yourself saying something about your age that just didn't sit right? Maybe you made a comment about your aches and pains, or you found yourself reminiscing about the good old days a little too often. It's so easy to slip into these habits, especially as we get older, but here's the thing, the words we choose, the actions we take, and even the places we go can shape how we feel, how we connect with others, and how much joy we find in our golden years. Aging isn't just about the years adding up, it's about how we live those years, how we embrace the changes, and how we make every day count. That's why I'm so excited to share this video with you today. We're diving into something that can truly transform the way you experience life after 60, 3 things you should never say, 3 things you should never do, and 3 places you should steer clear of as you grow older. By the time we're done, you'll have practical, heartfelt advice to live with more peace, purpose, and happiness, no matter what your age. Now, I know life can feel different as we get older. Maybe your knees creak a little more than they used to, or you're noticing the world seems to move faster than you'd like. But let me tell you something I've learned, our words have power. They shape our thoughts, our relationships, and even our health. So, let's start with the first thing you should never say: don't complain too much about your health. I get it, aging comes with its share of challenges. One day it's a stiff back, the next it's trouble sleeping. It's tempting to vent about every ache and pain, especially when you're chatting with friends or family. After all, it feels good to get it off your chest, right? But here's what I've noticed: the more we talk about our health problems, the heavier they feel. It's like carrying a backpack full of rocks. Each complaint adds another one, weighing us down and stealing our joy. And it's not just us it affects. Our loved ones hear it too, and while they care, constant complaints can make them feel helpless or even drained. Think about this for a moment. Does talking about your sore knees make them feel better? Does venting about your fatigue give you more energy? More often than not, it just deepens the frustration. Studies show that focusing on negative thoughts can increase stress and even worsen physical symptoms. So, what can we do instead? Start by accepting that some changes are part of the journey. That doesn't mean giving up. It means making peace with the fact that our bodies aren't what they were at 30, and that's okay. Every wrinkle, every ache, is a badge of a life well lived, a story of all you've been through. Once you embrace that, you can shift your focus to what you can do. Maybe it's taking a short walk each morning to loosen up those joints, or adding more colorful veggies to your plate for a boost of energy. Small steps like these don't just help your body, they lift your spirit too. Here's a little story to bring this home. My friend Clara, who's 68, used to start every conversation with a rundown of her health issues. We'd meet for coffee, and within minutes, she'd be talking about her arthritis or her sleepless nights. One day, I gently suggested she try something different. For 1 week, focus on what's going well instead. At first, she laughed it off, but she gave it a try. The next time we met, she told me about a new stretching class she joined and how she'd started drinking more water. She was beaming, and you know what? Her whole demeanor had changed. She wasn't just complaining less, she was living more. That's the power of shifting your words from pain to possibility. So, next time you're tempted to vent, try saying something like, "I'm working on feeling stronger every day," or share a small win, like how good it felt to take a walk in the sunshine. You'll be amazed at how it changes the conversation, and how it makes you feel. Now, let's move on to the second thing you should never say. Don't speak poorly of your children, grandchildren, or others. This one hits close to home for so many of us. As we age, we have more time to reflect, and sometimes that reflection turns into frustration. Maybe your son isn't calling as often as you'd like, or your granddaughter seems glued to her phone instead of talking to you. It's easy to let those moments spill out into criticism, like, "She's always so distracted," or "He never makes time for me." But words like these build walls, not bridges. They can hurt the people we love most and create distance when what we really want is closeness. I've seen this happen in my own family. My cousin Ed used to grumble about how his kids never visited enough. He'd say things like, "They're too busy with their fancy lives to care about me." Over time, his kids started visiting even less, not because they didn't love him, but because they felt judged. It was a painful cycle, but Ed turned it around. He started calling them just to chat, asking about their lives with genuine curiosity. Instead of pointing out what they weren't doing, he'd say things like, "I'm so proud of how hard you're working," or, "Tell me about that new project you're on." Slowly but surely, those conversations brought them closer. His kids started calling more, and now they share stories and laughter like never before. The truth is, our children and grandchildren are living in a world that's so different from the one we grew up in. They're navigating challenges we might not fully understand, and what they need from us is love and support, not judgment. Instead of criticizing, try offering a kind word or a listening ear. Ask them about their dreams, their struggles, or even what they're binge-watching on TV. Those small moments of connection build trust and love that last a lifetime. And here's a bonus: when you focus on the good in others, it lifts your own heart too. You start to see the beauty in your relationships, and that negativity that once clouded your thoughts begins to fade. Before we wrap up this part, let me leave you with this: our words are like seeds. They can grow into something beautiful or something that weighs us down. By choosing not to complain about our health or speak poorly of others, we're planting seeds of joy, connection, and peace. In the next part of this video, we'll dive into another thing you should never say and start exploring the actions you should avoid to live your best life. Stick with me, because these tips are all about helping you embrace your golden years with grace and happiness. You know, as we get older, it's so easy to get caught up in the past, isn't it? Those memories of our youth, the adventures, the struggles, they're like old friends we keep visiting. But sometimes, holding onto those stories too tightly can keep us from enjoying the life that's right in front of us. That brings us to the third thing you should never say as you grow older: don't keep repeating old stories. Now, don't get me wrong, your stories are precious. They're the threads that weave together the tapestry of your life, full of lessons, laughter, and moments that shaped who you are. But when we tell the same tales over and over, especially to our kids or grandkids, it can start to feel like we're stuck in a loop, like a record skipping on the same note. And honestly, it can make the people we love feel a bit disconnected, like they're hearing a script instead of sharing a moment with us. I remember my neighbor, Tom, who's 72. Every time we'd sit down for a chat, he'd launch into the same story about his days as a truck driver, hauling goods across the country. It was a great story the first couple of times, full of grit and adventure. But after hearing it a dozen times, I noticed his grandkids would start to tune out, their eyes glazing over. One day, his granddaughter, Lily, said something that stuck with me. She told him, "Grandpa, I love your stories, but what's something new you've done lately?" That question was a wake-up call for Tom. He realized he was so focused on the past that he wasn't sharing the present with the people he loved. So, he started mixing things up. Instead of retelling old tales, he'd share what he learned from a gardening book he was reading or how he tried a new recipe for dinner. Suddenly, his conversations with Lily were lively again, full of curiosity and connection. The thing is, repeating old stories doesn't just affect how others see us, it can keep us anchored in a time that's gone. Life is still happening, and there's so much beauty in the now. Instead of recounting what you did decades ago, try sharing the wisdom behind those moments. For example, instead of saying, "Back in the day, I worked 3 jobs to keep the family going," you could say, "I learned that hard work and love can carry you through anything." That kind of insight invites your listeners in, giving them something to hold on to, something that feels alive and relevant. Or better yet, make new stories, take up a hobby, like painting or birdwatching, or spend an afternoon with your grandkids doing something fun, like baking cookies or watching a new movie. Those moments become the new stories you'll both cherish, and they keep you rooted in the present. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the things we should avoid doing as we age, because our actions matter just as much as our words. The first thing you should never do is isolate yourself. And no, I know, sometimes the world feels loud and overwhelming, and all you want is a little peace and quiet. Maybe you're tired of keeping up with everyone's schedules, or you feel like you don't have the energy to socialize like you used to. It's tempting to close the door, stay home, and let the world spin on without you. But let me tell you something from the heart. Pulling away from others doesn't just create physical distance, it can dim the light in your life. We're built for connection. No matter how old we are, our hearts and minds need laughter, conversation, and the warmth of being with people who care about us. I've seen what isolation can do. My Aunt Margaret, who's 75, went through a tough time after her husband passed. She stopped going to her weekly book club, skipped family dinners, and even turned down coffee dates with her friends. At first, she said she just needed time to herself, but months turned into a year, and she started to feel lonely and lost. Her spark was fading, and it broke my heart. One day, I convinced her to come with me to a local senior center for a painting class. She was hesitant, but by the end of the session, she was chatting with new friends and smiling in a way I hadn't seen in ages. That small step, saying yes to one outing, changed everything. She started going back regularly, and now she's the one organizing game nights for her group. That's the magic of connection. It doesn't have to be big or flashy, just a conversation, a shared laugh, or a moment that reminds you you're not alone. The science backs this up too. Studies show that staying socially active can lower stress, improve your mood, and even help you live longer. Isolation, on the other hand, is linked to depression, anxiety, and even physical health problems like high blood pressure. How do you stay connected, especially if you're feeling shy or out of practice? Start small. Call a friend for a quick chat, wave to your neighbor and ask how they're doing, or join a local group that interests you, maybe a knitting circle, a walking club, or a class at the community center. If getting out is tough, technology is a lifesaver. Video calls with your grandkids or joining an online book club can keep you in the loop. The key is to take that first step. Even if it feels a little scary, you're not a burden, you're a gift, and the world needs your wisdom and warmth. Let's talk about the second thing to avoid. Don't neglect your health. This one might sound obvious, but it's so easy to let slip. As we age, our bodies change. Maybe your energy isn't what it used to be, or you're dealing with aches that weren't there before. It's tempting to shrug off small issues, like a twinge in your back or a restless night, and tell yourself it's just part of getting older. But ignoring those signs is like ignoring a warning light on your car. It might seem fine for a while, but it can lead to bigger problems down the road. Your health is the foundation of everything that matters. Enjoying time with your family, exploring new hobbies, or simply feeling good in your own skin. Take my friend George, for example. He's 67 and used to brush off his doctor's appointments, saying, "I'm fine, just slowing down a bit," but then a routine checkup caught high blood pressure he didn't even know he had. That wake-up call got him moving. He started walking 20 minutes a day, swapped out sugary snacks for fruit, and made sure to see his doctor regularly. Now, he's got more energy than ever, and he's the first one to suggest a game of catch with his grandkids. Small changes made a huge difference. You don't have to overhaul your life, just start with one thing. Maybe it's eating more vegetables, doing some gentle stretches in the morning, or setting a reminder for your annual checkup. Your mental health matters too. Try a mindfulness app or spend time on a hobby that brings you joy. These steps aren't just about adding years to your life, they're about adding life to your years. As we wrap up this part, think about how your actions, like your words, shape the life you're living right now. By staying connected and caring for your health, you're building a foundation for joy and fulfillment. There's one more action to avoid, and then we'll dive into the places you should steer clear of to make your golden years truly shine. Keep watching, because these tips are all about helping you live with purpose and peace. You know, there's something so freeing about making choices that honor the life you're living right now. As we've been talking about, the way we speak and act can set the tone for our golden years, but there's one more action we need to avoid to keep that joy and peace flowing. So, let's dive into the third thing you should never do. Don't overspend or be overly frugal. I know money can be a tricky topic, especially after a lifetime of working hard and saving up. You might feel like it's finally time to splurge on that fancy vacation or treat yourself to something shiny, thinking you've earned it. Or maybe you're the opposite, pinching every penny out of fear you'll run out. Both extremes can steal the happiness you deserve, and finding balance is the key to a rich, fulfilling life. Let me tell you about my friend Ruth, who's 70. When she retired, she went all out, new furniture, a big cruise, even a flashy car. She thought it would make up for years of sacrifice. But a year later, her savings were dwindling, and the stress was eating at her. She realized those purchases didn't bring lasting joy. On the flip side, I know folks who skimp on everything, skipping doctor visits or avoiding small treats like a coffee with friends, to save every dime. They end up living in fear, missing out on the little moments that make life sweet. Ruth found her middle ground by setting a budget. She still enjoys small pleasures, like hosting a family dinner or taking a local art class, but she's careful to keep her essentials covered. That balance lets her live with peace, not worry. Here's the thing, your later years aren't about chasing fleeting thrills or living like a hermit. It's about spending on what truly matters, your health, your loved ones, and experiences that warm your heart. Start by looking at your finances honestly. List your must-haves, groceries, meds, utilities, and then see what's left for fun. Maybe it's a weekend trip to see your grandkids or a new book to dive into. These don't have to cost a fortune, but they add so much value. And don't forget your health. Setting aside money for checkups or healthy food is like investing in more years of laughter and love. If you want to help your family, that's beautiful, but don't give more than you can afford. Your time and wisdom are gifts they'll treasure more than money. Happiness comes from simple things, a walk in the park, a chat with a friend. Those are the riches that make your golden years glow. Now, let's move to the places you should avoid as you age, because where you spend your time can shape how you feel just as much as what you say or do. The first place to steer clear of is noisy or chaotic spots. You know those bustling markets or loud concert venues? They might have been fun in your 30s, but as we get older, our bodies and minds crave calm. Loud noises and crowded spaces can spike your stress, mess with your sleep, or even raise your blood pressure. Plus, navigating a sea of people can be risky. Falls are no joke when bones aren't as forgiving. I learned this the hard way at a packed street fair last summer. At 65, I thought I could handle it, but the noise and shoving left me frazzled and exhausted. I spent the next day recovering instead of enjoying my time. Instead, seek out places that soothe your soul. A quiet park with a bench to watch the birds, a cozy cafe with soft music, or a library where you can lose yourself in a book, these are your sanctuaries. They let you relax, think clearly, and feel at peace. If you must go somewhere busy, try off-peak hours, like early mornings at the grocery store. Nature is a healer too. A stroll by a lake or sitting under a tree can recharge you like nothing else. Your golden years are for savoring life's gentle moments, not fighting through chaos. Choose spaces that lift you up, not wear you down. The second place to avoid is anywhere unsuitable for your health. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to things like extreme heat, cold, or high altitudes. A trip to a scorching desert or a snowy mountain might sound adventurous, but if you've got heart issues or breathing troubles, it could leave you drained or worse. I remember my cousin Paul, 68, who insisted on a hiking trip in a high-altitude area. He's got a heart condition, and halfway up, he was dizzy and gasping. It scared him and his family. Then there's the risk of being far from medical care. If something goes wrong, a fall, chest pain, you need help fast. Remote spots with no hospital nearby can turn a small issue into a big one. Stick to places that support your well-being. A local botanical garden, a community center with senior yoga, or a beach with a flat boardwalk, these are safe bets. Before you go anywhere new, check the weather, terrain, and how close the nearest clinic is. It's not about limiting yourself, it's about choosing adventures that let you thrive. Your health is your ticket to enjoying life, so protect it by picking places that keep you strong and comfortable. The final place to avoid is anywhere with high safety risks. Areas with crime, heavy crowds, or pollution can be dangerous, especially as we get older. A busy festival might seem lively, but getting jostled or lost in a crowd can lead to accidents. Pollution from traffic or construction can aggravate breathing issues, and high crime spots make you a target for theft or scams. I'll never forget my friend Linda, 71, who got her purse snatched at a crowded market. It shook her confidence for months. And remote areas? They're risky too. If you need emergency care, help might be hours away. Instead, choose safe, senior-friendly spots. A community theater, a quiet museum, or a local senior club offers fun without fear. Research your destination, check crime rates, ask friends, or call ahead to see if it's accessible. Travel with a buddy if you can, and always keep a charged phone with emergency numbers. Safety isn't about staying home, it's about exploring with confidence. Your golden years are for joy, not worry. So, let's bring it all together. We've talked about avoiding complaints, criticism, and old stories to keep your words uplifting. We've covered staying connected, caring for your health, and balancing your finances to make your actions count. And now, by choosing calm, healthy, and safe places, you're setting the stage for a life full of peace and purpose. You don't have to make huge changes, just small, thoughtful ones. Try swapping a complaint for a grateful moment, joining a local group, or visiting a quiet park this week. These steps add up, creating a life that feels vibrant at any age. I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you're going to try after watching this? Drop it in the comments below, and let's inspire each other. If this video spoke to you, give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and hit that subscribe button for more tips to live your best life. Here's to making every day in your golden years shine with joy and love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.